We are talking The Crucifixion, a 2017 possession horror movie directed by Xavier Gend, and this one stars Sophie Cookson as a reporter who goes to Romania to investigate basically a person who was crucified, and it's a case of, was this person really she was a nun, was she actually tortured and killed by these kind of like this rogue priest, or and did he commit murder, or was she actually possessed, and was this kind of priest trying to help her? Sophie Cookson's character is actually an atheist in this, so she's kind of got a vendetta against religion because she believes it should have saved her mother. And so kind of goes in there with that kind of mindset, and obviously discuss with things as the movie progresses. Obviously we discover evidence of true evil and demonic possession. So what do we think of The Crucifixion? Okay, so the first thing for me, I actually found this movie a little frustrating, but we'll go through the positives first of all. The first thing for me is the cinematography here is beautiful. Believe it or not, this is actually a beautiful looking horror film. It's so well shot. The camera absolutely makes love to the locations here. It absolutely looks fantastic. And there are some really good haunting imagery that you'll see here. And I feel the location and the landscapes here really do add that essence of authenticity and kind of like rustic creepiness to the actual proceedings here. So I thought that was all very good. It looks absolutely like a sort of a surreal, nightmarish dream. So the look of the film was great. And it's an interesting take on this story. We actually see it as more of a reporting of the case, with kind of flashbacks showing you what has happened, and the kind of the actual any kind of demonic events that happen to our character are more or less safe for the end of the movie. The rest of it is kind of told in flashbacks as his kind of reporter if he's trying to uncover what happens. But I've got to talk about some of the things that bugged me on this film. First of all, this is rural Romania, yet everyone speaks English apparently, and that kind of bothered me, because if you're filming there, it just seems like a weird thing to do, to be honest. I mean, they're obviously speaking with accents and stuff, but there's not one character that goes, no, I don't speak English. So that was bizarre. And it's not like it's a metropolitan area, it's rural Romania. And I've got to say, because most of this movie is told in flashback, it kind of takes the wind out of the sails a little bit for me, because you kind of ultimately where things are going to happen. So the sort of sense of tension isn't there, because you know where all the characters end up. It's obviously it's a framing device, and when films do this, I never feel it works for me personally. So I didn't really like that. I've got to say, the actual character of the reporter as well, she kind of bugged me. She kind of just goes in and just goes wherever she wants without really any kind of respect for anyone's kind of privacy or personal boundaries, and just kind of throws people's faith in their faces a little bit, which I found a little unbelievable. But the most egregious thing was when she's actually faced with there's about 2/3 of the way movie, she's faced with this kind of like demonic attack, but she doesn't tell anyone. I mean, she just doesn't mention it again, and I thought it was ridiculous. So her character was very poorly written, I've got to say. Very unlikable, ridiculous in how she basically does things. She's meant to be this kind of like this investigative reporter, but the kind of, well, the mystery is so obvious when you consider what she's been told. It's just like, that this really wasn't that hard to figure out. And I've got to say, her paper as well, the kind of the organisation from which she works, seems to be the most lenient organisation I've ever, pretty much letting her do whatever she wants without any real kind of consequence or kind of like worrying about the budgetary things that they are basically paying for her. So that kind of all bothered me a little bit, to be honest. So I didn't like her as a central character. Not so much the performance. I thought the performance was okay, but the way her character is written through the movie, I felt was a little poor, to be honest with you. When we actually do see the kind of the demonic things happen on screen, I've got to say, for the most part, I thought they were very well handled. You know, there's lots of jump scares here. And there are some quite shocking sequences in regards to maybe visual imagery that you haven't seen before, certainly involving lots of flies. But I've got to say, when we get to the climax, and it's just like we have levitation and stuff, it just looks like, that's clearly, obviously, just looks like wire work to me. So, you know, again, it just falls down a little bit. Although there are a few nice shots involving kind of water droplets. It's just very artistic. Overall, for me, I've got to say this was a little bit of a mixed bag. There is some great imagery here. It looks, you know, it looks like it's very luscious to look at, and I do like the idea of the story here. But I feel the execution of maybe the way the narrative is told, and especially where our central character is written, takes it down a few points. Overall, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Have you seen it? What do you think of it? Leave me comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.